Let's begin with our third panel discussion of the day. The topic being future-proofing the beauty industry, preparing for the challenges of tomorrow. And I must say, quite an interesting topic. I would like to call upon our moderators on stage. Ms. Jaishree Agrawal, Director, Basis South Asia, NielsenIQ. Huge round of applause for all, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Rujuta Joshi, Director, NielsenIQ. Come on, welcome her with a huge round of applause. I must say, two strong and dynamic ladies out here on stage. So please note, they're going to have a small presentation. Post their presentation, I will invite the panelists on stage. Over to you both.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Very glad to be here representing NielsenIQ, which is our company. Before we start the very interesting panel discussion that we have put forth for all of you, we just want to give like a 10-minute context, and this is something which is, from the lot of research that we do, some of the insights that we've gotten to share with the larger team over here. So this is me, Jaishree. I'm commercial lead, Basis South Asia. I have my colleague, Rujuta Joshi.
Hi, everybody.
She'll be co-presenting and co-moderating with me. She's come down all the way from Pune. She's Director, Nielsen Insights. Okay. So we at NielsenIQ, we deliver the full view. In this case, we are talking about beauty as a marketplace. Consumers are at the driver's seat. But what we do behind the scene is understand some some blind spots, some white spaces, some emerging trends, or what are the claims that matter in these emerging trends, right? Assess some innovations. When you talk about innovation, it's important to assess pricing, packaging, assortment optimization, etc. So this is something that we cover the entire spectrum when we are talking about any particular category.
So we will, before we look at the future-proofing industry, right? We want to show you what are actually the challenges for personal care and beauty market right now so that we know how to win against them. And we want to show you some emerging trends that are coming up in beauty industry so that those are the trends that you can ride to win over in the market. All of the data that we'll be showing, there is a lot of depth in there and reports available. So if you want more in the understanding, you can get in touch with us. So let's understand what is the first challenge. Okay, we have been through tough times. COVID had been there, markets are just opening up, but inflation has been there, right? So consumer wallets are constrained. And when that is the situation, and now markets are slowly coming back, FMCG growth is positive, but still people focus first on the food products, on the essential product categories, right? So that is why what we see is across Asia, personal care and beauty is actually showing negative growth. But that's not the complete picture. While total personal care industry is showing negative growth, there are some categories which are doing very well. And just to take a glimpse of, what are the product categories across the market, what you see is that the grooming categories, the nail polishes, the cosmetics, etc., these are the product categories that are showing very good growth. So these categories are definitely the bet to go forward. Next, please.
Yeah, and the categories that Rujuta mentioned, specifically the grooming categories, the new age categories, bath and shower, hair care, cosmetics, nail, facial care, etc. These categories have clocked in a 10% of their sales volume coming purely out of innovative products that they have launched in the market, right? With this, the point that we are trying to put up over here is, we've seen that, and in fact, because we deal with a lot of number crunching day in, day out, we've seen that manufacturers who've continued to innovate during adversities, crises, have grown 2.9 times higher versus those who are stagnant or declining. The perspective that we are trying to put up over here is, sometimes as marketers and manufacturers, we might just overthink that innovation is something that needs to be disruptive or revolutionary. But the point of the matter over here is, that little change, that little renovation is sometimes good enough to keep your consumers excited, create that buzz and sort of bring that newness or buzz in the market to protect your core consumers. Yeah. Now, modern environment has changed. We were talking to a lot of our clients, and we know that, things have changed. Today when I talk about channel, we'll talk about it a little more with the panelists in the discussion also. Along with the traditional trade, e-com and D2C has explored and is flourishing. I mean, there's a lot of traffic on those channels. There are brands which are specifically focusing on these two channels primarily. And with this, the competition landscape is also changing, right? So we earlier had some mainstream brands, but they face a tough competition from some of the retail private label brands and startups, some strong startups that pose big time threat to these existing brands. Consumers have also evolved. They have access to information. They're interacting with the brands more. And hence, this all has manifested in terms of innovation strategies that we see has changed amongst our manufacturers and marketers. It's no more about launching a big bet. I could be launching a product to maybe capitalize on a trend. Immunity was a trend during COVID, and a lot of the manufacturers, they tried to leverage immunity as a claim across all the possible products, right? And with this, we know that, with all the pressures that consumer has also faced because of inflationary trends, the appetite for innovation amongst consumers has not really impacted. I mean, we've got a data to prove that almost 70% consumers are claiming that they're looking out for innovative products. They are they would want to be ahead of the curve, try out new things, right? Having said this, it's also important for manufacturers to know that, the product has to meet the brand promise. The consumer has an access to information. They are all out there, and a small review and a rating on social media makes or breaks the deal for us, right? So this is something that could impact the future trial potential for any innovation that we launch. So this is like largely how the consumers, marketers, and the marketplace has evolved.
Yeah. And like Jaishree mentioned, the consumers are very vocal, right? They are very specific. They have specific needs. And if you take care of those needs, then you are bound to win in the market. And that is what we saw across Asia countries, which are the manufacturers that are winning the marketplace. Those local manufacturers have an edge here. We see them winning across the markets. What are some of the specific things that they are doing? They are taking care of they are including local ingredients, or they are taking care of local sensitivities. For example, if you are working in Indonesia market and if you have hijab or halal proof products, then that works for you. Or for example, this Singapore Subam, they have medical expertise locally established. If you take advantage of that locally established brand equity, then that works for you. Or for example, you have a very, very premium product, but you know your market pricing sensitivities and times. In those times, if you give very good promos, then consumers find it affordable. So these are some of the things that local manufacturers have done to win in the market. Next. So now let's take a look at what are the emerging trends in the market that we have seen across the markets. And the first one is clean beauty across the markets in UK, in US, in developed markets, as well as all of us are experiencing it. Sustainability is the big thing that we are all talking about. Trusted representative is again something that is working very well in the market. We are also seeing personalized products. So not just one product that works for everybody, but a product specifically catering to you. Products that are inclusive of different kind of needs of consumers, that is something that is really winning in the market. And we see a big, big focus on ingredients. Not just aloe vera and not just, the same old ingredients, but we see a lot of them coming in and actually giving brand equity to the products. So let's take a look at them one by one.
Yeah. So let's first quickly look at the first trend that we have, which is clean and sustainability. These days, it's not only about good for me, but I'm looking for products which is good for we or, say, the larger communities out there. We've got data to show that almost 70% people are willing to pay more for products which are claiming to be good for communities, or they're supporting the vulnerable groups, right? So, and 48% people are likely to look out for products with sustainability credentials, right? With this context, very importantly, one question for all of us is, where does the sweet spot of this sustainability responsibility lie, right? Now, as per the consumers, manufacturers, local government, statutory bodies, or say financial institutions, while the responsibility lies with all of us, but these are the flag bearers. They expect them to drive the change in the market. So this is one opportunity that we as manufacturers and marketers should encash and probably lead the change that the world needs at the moment. Yeah. So while we all know that sustainability does possibly add and give us a way to differentiate our brands in the market, but we should be cognizant of the fact that it does not come at the cost of compromising on the core benefit or proposition that we have. We at Bases, we do breakthrough innovation awards every year where we scan the innovation landscape and we recognize and acknowledge some of the innovations which have really done well in the different categories that they play. Now, out of that, I have picked up two examples that I want to talk over here. One is the 9 sanitary napkin brand, which was our winner in 2020. The brand, when they launched, they did something very interesting, which is beyond the usual sanitary napkin benefits at play. They positioned themselves as someone who's taking care of the environment. They provided a disposable, biodegradable bag to dispose the used sanitary napkins, which was conveying sustainability. Yeah. The second example is our own favorite, Mama Earth. I mean, I personally feel everything that I possibly have understood about sustainability is something that Mama Earth is talking about. So along with goodness, of nature that it brings in the product, it is talking about cruelty-free, no nasties, recyclable plastic, and PETA certified, etc.
And these two examples really showcased an underlying trend, and that trend was that the product should not be just good for me, but the product should be better for us as well. Us as a society, it should do a positive thing. And that is also the trend that comes up as one of the trends in clean beauty. Now, clean beauty as a trend means many different things to many different people. So we'll just focus on the broad themes in there. And I'm showcasing, examples out of Korea because South Korea is a market that is ahead of most of the Asian markets and beauty trends come from there. So what are the clean beauty trends that we see in that market? We definitely see vegan ingredients, and there is a lot of accreditation from retailers to establish that. We see actually devices for beauty, not just products for beauty. So using blue light or using intelligent mirror is something that we see there. The third thing that we see, and you would have seen in so many K-pop music videos or K-dramas, that 10-step beauty routine. Now people are saying that I don't want to do so much. I want less products, more benefits. So more functional benefit is something that I want as part of clean beauty. And the fourth big thing that is coming up is I don't want to look made up. I just want to look healthy and I just want to look natural. So that natural look is something that people are going for, and that is also part of clean beauty. Not just in Korea, so if we can go to the next slide, we see that across the markets, we did have forest essentials for a long time, but it is showing good growth, and there are such products in other markets as well. So that is one big trend. Now, if we see what are the ingredients that we are talking about, a very interesting trend that we observed in India is if the ingredient is familiar to you, you find it relevant. So if you see which are the ingredients that people find relevant, aloe vera, vitamin C, almond, coconut oil, all of us know this very well. On the other hand, if we see some ingredients which do have benefit, but they are not very familiar to you, you might not find them very, very relevant. And hence, if you are working with a unique ingredient, please make sure that you make that ingredient familiar to people. They will find it relevant. So that is the beauty of the ingredient trend.
Okay. I think we'll just take a couple of minutes and wrap up with one or two more trends that we want to showcase and then move to panel discussion. The second trend that we want to talk about is trusted representative. I mean, some of us might feel that it's not something new because we've got doctors, dermats, physiologists, out there sort of pushing and promoting different products, and this new age, this new cohort of influencers, we've got social media influencers promoting products and brands and sometimes probably launching their own brand. But we also have this, celebrities are not behind in the race. They have jumped the bandwagon, not recently, but yes, it's comparatively, relatively recently, where they are talking about, products which sort of marries with their personality. They're extending the brand trust and credibility that they're bringing, they're sharing their equity. The one recent example that we picked up and we want to talk about is the one that is launched by Deepika Padukone, the recent one, which the narrative of the brand is minimalism. So Rujita just spoke about minimalism. So, it's talking about how minimalistically using some products, you can get more efficient results. Now, the brand also talks about clean labels, which is also one of the emerging trend, which is vegan, cruelty-free. And it comes with a promise of using an ingredient, ashwagandha and some of the other ingredients, which are from the Indian origin, but at the same time scientifically tested to provide enhanced results. Okay. Now, this is the last one that we want to talk about, which is personalization and inclusivity. Again, personalization is something that I think have been doing the rounds. Our manufacturers have been talking about and launching products which are more specific and personalized. In fact, I think consumers have now got used to using products which are, meeting their unique specific needs. But I think the addition that we want to do over here is inclusivity. I think this is an interesting angle that we are adding over here, which essentially means that it's manifesting in terms of exploring some of the taboo topics. There are some marketers and manufacturers who are making it relatively open and who are making it open and sort of making people accept some of these issues and come out and use products. So for example, it could be solutions for menopause or maturing women, or you're talking about products in the sexual wellness space, some nutrition supplements which are supporting your sexual wellness. It could also be in the space of mental health. I think the pandemic and post-pandemic, there's so much that's been said about mental wellness. So there are products which are mood enhancers, ingredients which come with a benefit of calming your senses and enhancing your mood. And also about, say, men grooming or men cosmetics. These are some spaces which are sort of getting explored and out there on the shelf for people to pick up openly. I mean, these were some conversations which probably would have happened behind the scenes. Yeah. Now, with this, we've seen that whenever a manufacturer is launching product with this specific intent in the mind, it's largely about fulfilling some unmet need or a latent need which exists among, say, a specific set of a target group. It's about bringing in an advantage and sort of expanding its usage. And at the same time, as a franchise, I would want to bring in incrementality, right? So for example, if I am jumping into this wave of possibly targeting very specific group, I want people with that specific need to come and purchase my product. And overall, as a portfolio, we should be growing and not cannibalizing. These are certain unique products which largely disrupt the category. I have certain examples I'll talk about. And they might come with premium pricing because it has to justify some superior usage, right? Now, some of the examples that we've quoted over here is the Dove Kids range. So we all know that Dove is highly known for its moisture proposition, and they leveraged it into the kids range and targeted parents of kids. We've got Beardo, that was also one of our breakthrough innovation winners a couple of years back, which is, of course, we all know it's for the men and for their grooming, beard grooming needs. We've got Johnson's Baby Tears, which is for Baby Tears shampoo, which is no tears. And we've got, from India, we could also think about Sensodyne for sensitive teeth, and we've got, certain shampoos which were curated for African-American women in the US market. Yeah. So this is largely from our side. Maybe we could now bring in our esteemed panelist on the stage, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, come on, a huge round of applause for Jaishree and Rujita. Come on, give it up for them, please. Before we move ahead, requesting all the delegates, all our guests who are seated behind, if you can kindly take the front seats. Please, quickly, can we all come and take the front seats? Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists on stage. Firstly, Nikita Rustagi, Country Director, Centdegres. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Nikita, please. Alok, Kamat, Partner, Maxima Solutions. A warm welcome to Alok. What happened to the energy level and the claps? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, we can do better than that. Come on. Prince Chatterjee, Vice President and Chief Revenue Officer, Beauty Business. Warm welcome to Prince. Vaibhav Dixit, General Manager, Alpha Group. Huge warm welcome to Vaibhav. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. And Saurabh Singhal, co-founder and head of supply chain, mCaffeine. Huge round of applause for Saurabh, please. mCaffeine, sorry, I stand corrected. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for them, please. Over to our two moderators, Jaishree and Rujuta. Over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys found our little bits interesting. And one of the things that we saw there was all of the brands that are emerging. They are working something on omni-channel strategy or D2C, and that is a hot topic in the market. Now, you guys are the experts and the practitioners, so we really want to hear from you. I'll first ask Alok, and guys, please contribute. What have been your stance on omnichannel and DTC? Do you think it is a burden, or do you think it's a benefit that your brand gets?
Honestly, I guess I have eminent speakers to answer that much better. But from a manufacturing perspective, firstly, I would like to say hi to my dad, hi Baba, and hi my colleagues there. And as our coordinator said that, please, it's not an aircraft where you got to divide your weight from front and back to be equal. So more people coming in the front will give us happiness. Coming to a question, D2C and companies going into omni-channel is, I guess, is one of the most important things. The overall shift of buying pattern of the consumers has definitely changed. I was privileged to have one of a session given by Shankar Prasad of Plum, and there was a presentation where he had said that 9 out of 10 people make the buying decision through digital media. Wow. So it is not about the buying decision, but it's about the discovering decision. Yeah. So it's more about discovering and then understanding the product is what D2C is all about. And please, my panelists would definitely add on more. But for a manufacturing perspective, it's exciting because D2C and omnichannel both coming together will be a great concept because retail, which is the modern trade and the general trade in our good old days that we used to refer to, is here to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere from India. And with that, the scope of availability of the product becomes much more bigger. Yeah. Automatically, we get more orders. Yeah. So it's always good to have an omni-channel approach by D2C. But
right. Yeah.
With omni-channel, I would like to take you people a little bit back in 2000s when discovery of products were at a different level. You can discover any product either via TV ads or print media, yeah, or any other auntie or uncle who was traveling to abroad and taking the product. So there you'll get to know the global trends. Then in 2003, e-commerce came where people are then searching the products there. Then the discovery happening at a different level. Then it is YouTubes and Instagrams, yeah, then influencers. So the discovery has been changed and it is evolving. The customer is evolving. Initially, the customer evolution was taking place in 10 years. Now it is becoming into 3 years. So the consumer is defining what the brand is, what the curve is. So consumer evolution is where the future growth is. And why I'm coming there, because I'll explain you how this D2C is important, then the e-commerce is important, then finally the retails are there, which is equally important. And sorry, I forgot the word. It is that I just invented. The information system. So everybody is carrying their own TV and ads in their pocket, right? It is called a phone right now. So you get the global information. I'm from Ajmer, a small town, right? People sitting there knows what is going globally. What are the trends that are going globally? So the information system people are getting whenever they want, right? So this is how. Now, if consumer is evolving, you need to know how, and the brand that would be there on the curve of consumer evolution would be the brand who would be sustaining for a longer period of time. Right. For understanding the customers, you need a D2C channel, right? Yeah. So currently, there are only 25 million customers who are buying product online in India. out of which, like for example, we are covering 2.5 million every month. And the amount of data that we are getting, we get a chance to interact with the customers and get to know what they want. Right?
Yeah.
Hence, that channel helps us to be ahead of the curve, what customers are asking from the brand. Hence, that's why D2C is very important. Now, having said that, only 25 million online customers are there. So you need one channel which is there. So how do you cater the other people? That is the e-commerce, that is the offline. So a brand has to present omni-channel. It's where we are discussing 5 minutes back.
Yeah.
It is where you start. Either you start from retail and then comes to online, or you start from online and comes to retail. So it is how a brand takes a step, decides where it want to go. But omni-channel is there. People have to be present because it's a demand, right?
Yeah.
You have to cater the customers, and every customer are present at different level. So this is how I think omni-channel is a need right now, rather than it's a hygiene thing, is what we are.
Makes sense.
In my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Saurabh. And Rujita, it almost seems like we sneaked into your question paper. I mean, just before coming here, Saurabh and we were chatting exactly on this point, and I think very nicely articulated by Saurabh. See, to me, the game is very simple. If you have a product or if you have a service, you chase the customer. Wherever is the customer, you will actually have to address and go to the customer. Now, there are dramatic shifts which is happening, and we see it over the last 10, 15, 20 years, that customers have options of more channels and discovering products and services much faster than what it used to happen in the past. So therefore, any brand would be only naive not to explore all the channels. So therefore, in summary, long story short, it's omni-channel for sure. Either you come from the left side or either you come from the right side. All roads will lead to Rome.
Yeah, just to add, so in today's day and age, every channel has a different purpose, a different value for a brand, right? So some channels drive volumes, some channels drive revenues, some drive awareness. So you cannot choose to be in either one of them. That's very, very important. You have to be present online, you have to be present offline, you have to be present on social media, and the seamless integration, yeah, exactly. And the seamless integration across these channels is what's omni-channel, right, at the end of the day. And now the new revolution is quick commerce, right? So apart from, of course, you have your e-commerce where people are discovering your brand, accessing your brand. You have marketplaces like Amazon. Now you have Blinkit and all, where the product is exactly 15 minutes away from you. So this is the new step, and this is the new way for your business to grow and drive volumes from tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 cities in the next 10 years. So quick commerce is also something which should not definitely be ignored.
So the experts all agree, omni-channel and DTC is here to stay, and we need to basically work with that.
Okay, I think Saurabh, you mentioned about consumer needs keep evolving, and I think this is a question for everybody, but I'm just referencing it to what I heard from Saurabh. And in the data, we had seen that during pandemics, manufacturers, they were going conservative. Manufacturers, marketers, they were not really wanting to launch or innovate, right? So we've all been in pandemic. We are now out. We've experienced the worst part. I'm hoping that was the worst part that is over. So now I just want to understand, what is the larger innovation philosophies, say, from manufacturer standpoint, from a marketer standpoint, what do we think, how do we go about innovating, especially in adversities and crisis? I've heard of the phrase called creativity in crisis. Does that come to play, when we're thinking about brand innovation?
So basically, pandemic, yes, was a crisis period, but I think customer has got to understand, they have started the personal care in that pandemic only, right? So the personal care or BPC products, people have started to understand what personal hygiene is, what hygiene is, what personal care is. So I think people has evolved their education system into this pandemic about the products into the market. Like for example, serums is a good example, which is a post-pandemic product. Pre-pandemic, there was no hyaluronic acid that were talked about. There was no chatter in the box. These are the kind of actives that plays a role to solve your problems. So I think in pandemic, people have educated themselves that and plus they got the time to read the global trends, what are going into the market. And I think pandemic has helped this industry to go to innovate the products. So brands like us are now bringing AHA, BHAs into the market, hyaluronic acid in the market. Caffeine is a very ingredient that we are working on, right? So we think this pandemic has helped people to actually spend on themselves, right? To find out what is better for them. And now we have passed from that soap, oil, and a comb as a personal care to a personal face wash, to a personal face scrub, a shampoo for some, a dandruff shampoo or a hair strengthening shampoo. So I think, yes, pandemic has educated us, and I think it's a crisis moment for the entire world. But for BPC, I think it's a game changer, and now the innovations will happen, and there's no so innovation can happen. India is ready, and we have good innovators. It's all about that how the consumer demand for it. So I think consumer would be the person who would be frankly getting us on the curve of innovation. So I think innovations will happen, and they are happening right now. So, and if people want to add.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to the session. So I remember back in the peak of the pandemic in 2020, our clients who we do third-party filling for, they ended up testing most of their employees, and a few thousand of them came positive. So there was a point in which where we were the only ones manufacturing the certain brand of hand wash, and here the PMO's office had actually given us a letter within 48 hours. And so we continued to run, and a lot of innovation took place at that time. Essentially, supply chains went from multiple SKU to just one SKU, and there were shortages of these MLP pouches. Apparently, then there were no pumps around the whole world because everybody had to wash their hands, and there weren't enough bottles, then there weren't enough, I don't know, SLES or other ingredients. So it was quite a tough time. So during then, my firm Alpla basically made one innovation because we felt that the MLP pouch and the trigger and these kind of things will be an issue. So we invented something called the Simple One, which is a very lightweight bottle where it can be use and throw, you can cut and refill. And this was actually the first design in the pandemic. Now we've got sizes up to 1 liter, so it's cheaper than the NMLP, and there's recycling regulation coming in 2025, so we are future ready for this, and it's been launched in Europe and it's doing well. Something for the Indian market that I have in my pocket here. It's what we like to call the boucher. This is an innovative product that we believe that the sachet may be outlawed in a few years, which cannot be recycled. We feel this can be fully recycled, the cap and the product itself. We have done our trials and filling is possible. So this was one of the innovations. With regards to the pandemic, and there were certain pressures coming in, we invented another concept which we actually stole from the beverage space, which is called, more or less, you produce the bottle, you fill the product, you make the pump as well, and you do the decoration. So everything happens under one roof. So it was a significant investment during the pandemic, about, I think, a 350,000 square foot facility. So that was quite big. And we basically make the shampoo there, we do the bottles over there, we fill the product there, we test the product there, we make the pumps there, we fill it all in line. So this is something that was forced due to cost pressures and due to keeping everything from one source, because clients don't want to go to multiple locations to get audits and find if they have products and so on and so forth. So this was quite a hit, and yeah, it's well known in the marketplace. So we've partnered with Unilever, and so this is how we have grown.
Yeah. It was very interesting when you were talking. You were naturally talking about having sustainable products, recyclable products, etc. And we do see sustainability as a trend across. But do you think Indian market is ready for this? Indian consumers are ready to pay more for this? What is your stance on sustainability? Prince, if I can ask you.
See, I think the Indian consumer is fast catching up with the Western practices. And there is no reason why the Indian consumer shouldn't really get the best which is available in the world. So therefore, my short answer to this question is that yes, the Indian consumer is actually getting quite sensitized about this. There's already a segment of customers who are appreciating these facets of the product, but I think there is also a larger need for manufacturers to propagate these best practices so that consumers at a large scale in a country like India, which is extremely diverse, they should be able to propagate the message of sustainability so that more and more people understand the benefits of it and adopt that. So in terms of the adoption is much lesser, quite understandable, but I think the industry as a whole has a lot to do in terms of spearheading this.
So we are manufacturing very different kind of products. So we make sachets which retail for ₹1. Then we have brands like Tresemme and certain serums which retail for about 2,000 rupees. So the kind of customer you're selling to has a very different objective of their buying portfolio and buying habits. So when you're buying on the retail store, you're buying more in the Kirana market, it's referred to as coinage in the industry. So you have ₹5 coinage, ₹10 coinage, ₹1 coinage was before. And now what's happened is when you go at a ₹500 price point or ₹999 price point, those consumers have good appreciation for sustainability, for ingredients, for being vegan product, cruelty-free, so on and so forth. But primarily the issue for the big players is that the regular market, which is the rest of India, is not educated about it, and they're mostly price conscious. So where the big players are stuck is that do they bring some amount of recycling? How do they do this? Do they wait for regulation? So we are a little bit right now in the chicken and the egg scenario.
Right, absolutely.
It's a long way to go is what I understand. Sorry.
From a manufacturing perspective, So firstly, sustainability is a very broad terminology according to my understanding. It's still it's very gray in everyone's mind. It's like a peeling onion. It's like one layer of the other, one layer in the other. So from the experts that we have heard, definitely from a brand perspective, from a packaging perspective, sustainability is something that degrades, something that I can reuse, or something that I can, ensure that my environment and my earth is not gone into a dump yard, right? From a manufacturing perspective, sustainability is more also from how much of energy saving are we doing in our manufacturing processes, how much of energy saving are we doing in terms of putting the waste in our, of course, from our ETPs, which is the effluent treatment plants, ensuring that the water that generates is lesser, converting more heat manufacturing processes into cold manufacturing processes. So that also is a part of sustainability. What we have also started working towards is firstly having our own definitions as our company, as a manufacturing company. Since there is no law that binds us together in this definition, in this age world where vegan, cruelty-free and not tested on animals, vegetarian, everything is a great claim. But for us to be sustainable to our own self, we have defined what all these mean. So our regulatory team works pretty close with the, with the environment changes, or rather with the government also, ensuring that it's not only sustainability in terms of what product am I giving, but also what claims am I giving. So, and today, I guess, even the consumer cell has become much more evolved. Government has given much more incentives and rather power to the consumer cell with the growing D2C brands and the growing population that are aware of, ready to discover products. They are having the power of ensuring that, they can ask any question for which manufacturers, like all of us, whether it's packaging or whether it's this. If Vaibhav is saying that this is biodegradable, I think it is with solid proof. And that's exactly what I guess all of us here are working towards, having a sustainable ecosystem within your own self first. So, yeah.
Just to add on to that, like from a design perspective, as an agency, we work with a lot of brands who want to be sustainable. And very rightfully, like Alok mentioned, it's a very gray area. You can never, in today's day and age, claim to be 100% sustainable. And if a brand is claiming to do that, I think be a bit careful. But it's very easy to take simple steps, even as a brand, you know. First thing is, it's very simple. Go on the United Nations website. You have your ESG goals laid out, okay? Maybe first year, take 2 to 3 ESG goals, maybe something to do on the manufacturing side, maybe something to do with recyclability, or even, let's say, women empowerment or education. These are all goals that are laid out. Take simple steps as a brand. Inculcate your values in a way that you can, and these are very measurable steps which you can do on your own. You don't need an ESG consultant to give you measurable KPIs on this. But take as a brand simple steps and share your story, share your values with the consumer. Be a bit more human as a brand. Say, hey, I'm not perfect, you know, but I'm trying to make little steps. And this is what I do as a brand. These are what my employees are doing, you know. Share these initiatives forward and bring that story of you as a company and your journey forward to build the initiativeness to a sustainability. So that's what's something you can do.
I think that's interesting. In fact, I think consumers are expecting much more. We've got data to show that, you know, they're really expecting the manufacturers and marketers to drive the change. I think one last question before we open up to the audience out here, which largely I think, Nikita, you can also answer this. So we've seen celebrity-owned brands as one of the trend, and probably they can help push, in terms of getting people educated about, say, different products. I think Saurabh spoke about new age formats, serums or sheet masks, which are growing, but of course they're very small right now. So how do we see this entire influencer push in terms of educating consumers about beauty and different formats and products? Like, how do you see it, and possibly how, the others see it in terms of growing that space? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I think influencers play an extremely important role in consumers' purchase decisions today. Personally, even me, if I'm discovering a new brand on the market, I'll study the basics on the e-commerce website, but to understand its efficacy, I will go on YouTube, type the product, and see which influencer is endorsing it. I will spend 10 minutes on that, even if I have to spend, let's say, 1,000 rupees on a product or 500 rupees on a product. The influencer decision is the whole review and feedback is extremely, extremely important. And I think, this is something that is happening since 5 years, especially with the whole digital penetration in India, accessibility. YouTube, for example, is one of the largest social media platforms in India. They're being utilized really well by consumers. Now, let's take it a step ahead and think about how brands can participate in this process. Why to only rely on consumers, right? There are new formulations that are coming in. There are new novel ingredients being used, right? As brands, how do you, apart from just selling the product and ending your journey with the consumer there, why don't you take part in the ritual process, the usage process with the consumer? And that's where even I think that's where the direction of the whole education journey should go. That's my understanding, yes.
I think I strongly agree with you, Nikita, what you said. Any celebrity lends a tremendous amount of credibility to the product and the service, and that is exactly what the consumer is looking for. You kind of validate your own questions in their mind through an endorsement or through someone who you trust. So I think there's no doubt at all that this angle really works very well. And internationally, if we have to see, while both the examples are available, they are extremely successful brands without any celebrity endorsement. But we see, at least in the industry that we belong to or we represent, we see tremendous amount of credibility being lent, as you have also rightly pointed, by the influencer or by the celebrity who is behind the brand. So they are kind of giving you that trust factor, so which becomes extremely important and cannot be ignored for sure.
As a brand opinion, we consider, now we don't consider them as celebrity or influencers, we consider them as skin intellectuals. So basically, they read about before endorsing any brand or any product, I think they decide to select the product. They figure out if they actually use the product, and then they give a true feedback. So as you both covered, the credibility part is there, but people are getting the education from them, right? What the product does, like you said, you go on a YouTube and see how the product is there, what is their feedback. So I think these are skin intellectuals. We have started calling them the influencers and celebrity, but they know the product much better than you and they use the product. So yes, And once you hear from them and they are the face of the brand, then you get the brand gets the credibility into the market, the customer then have a trust on the product and they pick the product, then okay, they are using it, then it has to be fair, the product has to be doing what they are saying into the brand. So yes, and truly said that there are brands which are without a face of influencer celebrity, and there are brands who are building on that. So it's the brand, how you choose to be there in the market. But yes, it adds a quick credibility to your product. And for new age brands like us who are coming up into the market, I think celebrity and influencers are helping us a lot to give that credibility to all our consumers.
I'll just add one small point in that. From the way that I have seen as a manufacturer, again, from the lens of a manufacturer, we say we don't own one brand, we own multiple brands, because every brand that we get associated with, it's more not as a contract manufacturer, but it's more from a private label in terms of a partner. Now, this celebrity endorsement and influencer has, again, two ways that I look. One is a brand which is owned by the celebrity, and they are promoting their own brand. And the other is it's not owned by them, but it is a face that the celebrity kind of gives on a lease for a particular period. Now, these two have two different ways of growth trajectory and also in terms of the approach. What I feel, celebrity endorsed brands have a life cycle, but mostly what I see is it's good for the discovery period, because every brand goes through a discovery mode, then it goes to a growth mode, and then it goes to a consolidation mode. And when these three modes are there, where it's backed by celebrity, probably the chances of the growth are much quicker. Rather, the discovery is much quicker. Growth is only when the product talks for itself, because at the end of the day, the consumer is going to have the proof of pudding in their hand. Consolidation is where which product or which category out of the range of products that I as a brand have launched with the help of the celebrity endorsing it will give me the real numbers on paper. Versus 82 East or Anomaly or any of these, like the international brands like Fenty or for that matter Kylie Cosmetics, they all are not endorsed, they all are owned. So there they consume the product. They get involved in the manufacturing processes, they get involved in the product selection processes, which makes the product and the brand much more trustable from the lens of a digital consumer, someone who's consuming the data digitally. So I guess those are certain things which I feel the celebrity endorsement kind of also is kind of spanning out in the current FMCG industry. And the same goes for even food for that matter. It's not only cosmetics and personal care that we are here for, but food as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on what Alok said. So examples of Priyanka Chopra's got a brand called Anomaly. And there's a brand now that Twinkle Khanna is not the face, but she's investing. She's in a group called the Good Glam Group. So she's got 4 brands. One's called Baby Chakra, one is called Organic Harvest. The other one is, I think, Saint Botanica. So she's invested, but not the face. And so what we have noticed is, similar to what Alok was saying, is that the brand will be very well studied and the product quality will be very good. So you have a longer chance because they have skin in the game. With regards to influencers, I follow quite a few of them. So like L'Oreal has tied up with, I think her name is Bhavya and Singhal. These are comedians and dancers. So L'Oreal has essentially done a deal with her for a long period of time. And so this is more for her base to push the product and sell the product. And so people who follow her, that's different. So these are 2 different segments here.
Pretty interesting. Audience, any questions, any thoughts?
Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. It's a nice presentation and talk. Sir, good afternoon. It's a nice presentation and talk. One point I wanted to know from anybody. Hair oil is one of the very important, I think so, part of the cosmetic. But nowadays, nobody is using hair oil, or very less number of people are using. Is it not necessary, or is it health for the human health?
Well, I'm the wrong person to answer because I've shaved my head. We can ask somebody else here.
No, don't take personally. It's a generalized, sir.
I think it's a personal choice. I don't know. Matlab, people are using hair oil. But now people has become what hair oil is doing to your hair is more important. Like for example, people like we have an ingredient called caffeine. Now, it is very good in for hair and skin. It helps in hair growth and all those things. So if they are getting that caffeine, that ingredient from any other thing, either in hair oil, either in shampoo. So we are selling caffeine in all the hair products, all our personal care products. But it's a people choice right now. But I don't think hair oil. I think Marico is doing good. So I don't think hair oil is anywhere lost its track. It's more about concern-based products that people are consuming is what, in our little experience, is what I got. But I think.
Sir, I think you're right. Sir, आपके permission से मुझे नहीं लगता, I'll answer in Hindi, मुझे नहीं लगता hair oil का demand कम हुआ है. दूसरे products जो बालों के लिए अच्छे हैं वो बढ़ गए हैं. तो ऑटोमेटिकली जब वैरायटी आती है तो शायद हमको लगता है कि डिमांड उसकी कम हुई है, बट ब्रांड्स लाइक योर केश किंग, योर अदर, लाइक इवन फॉर टुडे पैराशूट इज predominantly my kids still have parachute on their hair. My wife probably does not like it, but it is something which people are still, Indian consumer is still consuming it as a product. दूसरी चीज़ है कि जो अभी न्यू एज कॉस्मेटिक्स के जो इंग्रेडिएंट्स है वो कॉस्मेटिक्स के इंग्रेडिएंट्स के साथ विद क्लेम्स विच आज के नए जनरेशन को, जो जेनजी जनरेशन है, वो जनरेशन को जो क्लेम्स सुनने में मज़ा आता है वो क्लेम्स डाल के भी हेयर ऑयल बन रहे हैं. इज़ जस्ट दैट वो बहुत ही नीश मार्केट के लिए बन रहे हैं. तो शायद वो पेनिट्रेशन जो जिस प्रकार की पेनिट्रेशन मैरिको या केशकिंग ने की थी वो प्रकार की पेनिट्रेशन शायद ये ब्रांड को नहीं होगी. बट कहने का मतलब ये है कि सुनने में शायद कम आएगा बट डिमांड अभी भी है. कंपनीज बहुत अच्छी तरीके से हेयर ऑयल बेच रही है.
Sorry, sir, but when I observe, especially women or girls, I don't see anybody is using hair oil.
Sir,
can you find out any woman here who is using hair oil?
Sir, if I have to give you some confidence on that, there is nothing on the data which suggests that the hair oil market is degrowing. I think it is only the format which is changing, and the format is changing only because the consumer preferences are changing. So going 30 years back or 40 years back, even if I talk about myself, when I was growing up, I used to be a head full, I mean, I used to have hair those days, by the way. So I used to have head full of oil. Now today, I would use an oil only on the weekends because I don't like the feeling of going, with a head full of oil. Formats are changing. Consumers are consuming different formats of oils. Consumers still recognize oil as one of the most important ingredients for the hair growth, maintenance, etc. And this is not only true in India, but internationally also. If you go to professional salons, they use a lot of oil, they recommend a lot of oil. So that's very much part of it. So there is no data backing saying that the consumption of oil is going down. I don't recognize that.
Actually, also like in India, even the newer generation is going back to the practices that were happening with our grandmothers and all. So you can see a huge shift in the industry where we are going more rooted and back to our culture. So oil will never go. Another trend is targeted hair problems के लिए oils अब generate हो रहे हैं. So there's a new change in formulation for oil. So it's not just coconut oil. It's coconut oil with 5 other ingredients, maybe some active ingredients that are targeting, let's say, dandruff, for example, or hair thinning. So there's more innovation in terms of formulation. And what's also happening is global market mein, because, everyone sees Indians, everyone know Indians have a very healthy hair. So global market mein, it's a new emerging product also. A lot of brands on a global scale, especially in Europe, are actually launching hair oils.
And if I may also add one more thing to it, one of the recent rage is oil with onion, the onion-based hair oil. That's a massive rage. So I would remotely think.
I think I am not able to explain my question. My question was that can it not be an opportunity because nobody, I don't feel, see, just now she is using once in a day, once in some time. See, people are using every day. Can it be not be a market opportunity?
Absolutely.
That is what I am talking.
It's a बहुत बड़ा market opportunity.
I think it is a very big requirement for the body. As a scientist, I can say it's must hair oil
Absolutely.
every day. And it is a requirement of the brain and also body, both.
Absolutely agreed, sir. Absolutely
Thank
agreed.
you. Thank you.
Maybe one last question, if you're okay.
Hello, I am Akshay. I belong to Reliance Industries. My question is related to sustainability. I know a lot of buzz going around regarding the sustainability. And most of the, if you talk about the big brands like Coke and Unilever, they are talking about, say, 5%, 10% is what they will move their packaging to, recyclable or these kind of products. So what is going on in that space? I understand one of the thing is innovation, that Bush thing that Wagesh showed was one of the thing that probably we'll be looking forward to. But as brands, what are your thoughts? Because what I feel is that when people talk about sustainability, they want to change maybe, in the pack, they want to move, 10% of some, material to be changed to recyclable or something like that. So, but that does not work actually. You actually have to create a new, product if you want to get into that space. So, any discussion on that? If
From the packaging space, I can speak about both the companies that you've mentioned. So, Coca-Cola and Unilever are globally our biggest clients. And both of them, along with us, have signed a document on the sustainability commitment with the Ellen MacArthur Global Foundation to reduce plastic consumption and also to increase reusability. So for example, in Mexico, we are already using recycled PET. So in India, it's not legalized yet, but once it's legalized, rPET will become fairly common in the beverage industry and it may become a norm as well. We're just waiting for the official guidelines to come. With regards to Unilever, Unilever was the first mover. And second was actually, I think, Reliance doing a launch for Reckitt Benckiser for a Dettol hand wash, which was 100% PCR. But there was some stability issues in that when you go 100%. So it was just a one-time launch from the ocean is what I believe it was. So the industry is moving to that direction, but it's not due to regulation. The two biggest players are moving in that direction, but also it's due to getting good brand credibility in the market as well. So if Coke goes, then Pepsi goes. If Unilever goes, then Procter's goes, and so on and so forth. So this is how the industry is moving in this direction. But ingredients-wise, it is true that manufacturers and fillers like ourselves, we do need to test and do longer stability tests to see that the PCR will react with this material or not, oxidation and so on and so forth. Basically, the product should be stable.
Hello everyone. I want to ask that if I'm starting a new brand, the brand name is Coral Face. So I wanted to know how I can initially test my products, the initial products. Like there are 2-3 products I have, how do I test it in the market?
Has
That's
it
a very
already been
research
launched
question
or?
also.
Yeah, the question is how can I test my products initially?
Test with respect to clinical test you're talking about,
No,
or
no,
with
no.
respect to market fit?
Market fit, yeah.
You just have to sell it to customers first, and then you have to take a feedback from the customer about how you are
Saurabh,
doing it.
that's my job as a researcher.
Okay, this is what we do. So we started like that only. We take the feedback from customers, and then we figure out whether it is a right market fit for them, how you are delivering it is right fit for them. So I think this is the only way. If your consumer tells you that it's a good product, you have to test a bunch, right? But if they tell you it's a good product, then it's a hit product. Now, then you have to shift to work more on marketing. But if they are giving you a feedback that a product is not good, then you should first work on your product, build it how the consumer wants it, and then you can market the product. So this is how you can start with.
You can do one thing. What have you made the product for? You have to tell that customer first, and what parameters you want them to evaluate. Because if you want an accurate feedback from your customer base, especially when you are in this trial mode, you need to know what feedback you want to listen. Since आपने ये बनाया क्यों है? Fragrance अच्छा है, वो जानने के लिए कि ये सच में hair growth करता है कि नहीं. Right? So you got to make, of course, what Saurabh said is correct. And of course, with that, if there is a structured feedback that you want, if you prepare that and you give it, then your feedback is more better and your words, or rather the data that you get will be more important for you to make a decision further.
So we can do that for you. We are a part of NielsenIQ research company. I'm a part of Basie's team. That's my job. So I'll meet you outside the event and I'll explain how we do it.
I'll just like to add one more thing to what Alok said. You should be also very clear on what is the consumer segment that you are focusing on. That's very important. Sometimes what we do is we are thinking of a mass product and we are giving it to a customer who uses only luxury products. They're not your target audience, so don't give it to them. So this is something that you need to be mindful of.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause to our entire panelists, especially our moderators, Jaishree and Rujuta. Come on, we can give it up. Come on. A little more energy. We have a token of appreciation for each of you. So, Jaishree, requesting you to do the honors to present it to each one. Yes. You're going to keep the claps flowing, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, give it up for them, please. And I must say, what a session. Quite interesting. So many pointers from here that we can all take back home and reflect. Thank you so much once again. Can you come ahead? We can take a group photograph, please. We're going to capture and remember this moment for sure. Come on, everybody. Give it up for them, ladies and gentlemen.